And there we go. Welcome on everybody to the Overwatch Clash Season 8 Draft. Yippee! Woo! Should be a good night ahead of us here. Very exciting. This is one of our biggest drafts ever. And we have the two biggest brains here on the desk to help me break it down. It's going to be War as well as Paninii. Guys, we're finally here. It's been a long off season. You know, you both, I guess, I didn't really think about it, but you both coming in fresh off a grand finals appearance, going off against one another as captain and manager, and now you're here on the draft test for Season 8. It's all come full circle, and honestly, I'm just really excited.
Yeah, and I think this is like no group I'd rather be here than with like these groups. We're all experienced here as like captains, as like managers, as like players, as all that stuff, and I feel like we're gonna be able to give some good insight on a lot of these players. We have a lot of rookies, and I believe this is like our record number of players, potentially a record number of rookies as well, too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure by like a wide margin too. 16 teams, I believe 80 total players, and we have one manager on top of that. So we have three managers on top of that. So we have the most players involved, 24 rookies, a lot of fresh faces, a lot of teams. So I'm really excited just to see how this goes because this is probably like nothing we've ever had before in Aurora. So it's really exciting to get this new change here.
Yes, I believe we have informed the captains, though, they're finally ready to make some selections and make some draft picks. So once everything is going on here, yes, it looks like the teams do be typing and we do be on the clock. So with that being said, Green Hill Guppies are finally, we're finally starting. We are technically now on the clock. Is there any thoughts on who, might be leaning towards here? We got some information potentially from captains on where we might be leaning, but TC, once again, with number one overall pick, kind of has his pick of the litter here.
Yeah, when you get the first overall pick, you kind of just have it loaded up anyways, and that's kind of exactly what TC did. I just kind of sent it right away once we said on the clock. First overall pick will be Vin. Oh, I see the play.
It appears you might have jumped the gun on that one, but yes, the pick will in fact be Vind. Oh, we didn't refresh the page. Hold on,
Nope.
go refresh, then we do this, and there we go. There's Vind coming up here as number one overall pick as that tank role. Of course, it is prior our highest ranked tank main player playing his main role. So that's always exciting. And of course, it makes Vind a very valuable prospect here, especially for someone like TC who needs to build around a lot of SR. And, we can take a look. Woo, look at this. Fancy little scouting report here. He's a reigning Freddy Fazbear freaking frick of the year. So he's kind of him. So have to, of course, let him know. Vin did not play last season, so, of course, taking a little break off. But still grind the game hard and still probably going to be one of the best tanks in the league, if not the best, by quite a large margin.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and I know that you have a lot of good options if you're a TC with the pick here, but I believe you have another pick in, so BOON1E, I'll head to you for that one.
We have so many picks coming in already, so we're going to try to go through them.
I'm updating the sheet real quick here.
Yeah, I'm also updating my own sheet to try to get the draft prod stuff ready to go. Hopefully, once things finally slow down, maybe we'll be able to kind of talk more about these picks, but we do have another pick in, which is going to be pick number 2, so a second overall pick in Aurora Esports Season 8 draft. The Maus are going to select Akua for the flex role. With Akua, of course, you get just about everything in terms of playing and what. Hold on, did I do this correctly? Try that. Refresh. Give me my info. There we go. Pull up his scouting report real quick. We did have a couple people write scouting reports. I just have everybody know, as well as these prospect rankings. We didn't really have time to break them down before, but you can see an overall ranking. Akua is our third ranked prospect, so pretty neato, huh? With Akua, of course, you get every single role, basically a GM. Akua, really well known across the league for a lot of roles, but wants to play not DPS this season, wants to focus more on the support and mid tank. So we have Paige taking Akua on that flex role. I guess you guys can give some quick thoughts on that, but while I enter in pick number 3.
So Akua did say that he was willing to play 1 out of 3 maps on DPS, so depending on how the rest of Paige's roster works out, we could see an Akua DPS, but he is mostly going to play tank and support. But across the board, Akua is like one of those players that's kind of good at everything he plays, just such a good mechanical player. Really good, like, just vibe to have on the team, too. So I'm not surprised at all by either of these first 2 picks. I think a lot of people were just kind of expecting this.
Yep, and with that being said, our next pick is going to be in, and we'll go ahead and give that a quick reveal. It is going to be Knave on the tank, and this might be kind of the first surprise for a lot of people in the draft, because Knave was, perhaps a bit lower on people's radars compared to last season, where we saw him go over to the Moon Baboons. Maybe it had a bit of a rough start to the Aurora career, but the bounce back could be here. Of course, you see here, Nave was ranked as our 15th prospect, but going in top 3 here, and we kind of seen the little bit of a Skyrim report. There's a slow start, but was probably one of the standout players on that Baboons roster. There wasn't many to talk about, but Nave was kind of a bright spot for him more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's somebody who is like, in my opinion, like very, very valuable and has shown valuable on tank. This is a season where there's only, in my opinion, 3 or 4 like super, super high SR tanks. Nave's somebody who can fill that role, you can lock into that role. You don't have to worry about him playing on any other teams. He can just like hard carry on tank, and that's I think what you need if you're looking at these like first for a few picks.
Yep, and with that being,
Nave is a big, like,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say Nave is just like a vocal calmer. Like he's gotten a lot better recently too. Is one of the highest tanks on paper, one of the highest SR tanks this season. So I am not surprised to see him go this early. I think 3 is probably a little earlier than a lot of people had him going, but like top 5, top 10, I think Nave is a good shout here.
Well, we just get number 4 overall pick, but with number 4 overall pick in the Aurora Esports Season 8 draft, it is going to be Sky, going the way to the Milky Martians, not to the Rahamians or whatever they are, but it's going to be Sky here going number 4 overall. So officially on the clock is going to be the Rohan Rohirman. I don't know how to say that name, but Sky is our number 2 overall ranking here in terms of prospects for that DPS for the stand-up play over on the quaddies last season. So honestly, a great pickup here for BOON1E to kind of start off her team.
Yeah, I mean, Sky is a player from the BPL Kitsune League, which is also where BOON1E kind of has a lot of ties to. So this makes a lot of sense. Sky is another one of those players that is flexible on pretty much every role. And Aurora has been playing consistently DPS, but has played quite a bit of flex support in BPL and Kitsune League. So that's kind of a good player to start your team off with, because you can make those adjustments later on and flex Sky around if you need to, because he's very, very capable in all roles.
And our 5th overall pick is going to be in for Overwatch Clash Season 8 draft. And with that being said, the Rohan Rehiram is going to go ahead and pick up Asher. This one, if you've been talking to Nuttier basically the entire offseason, this one has been a lock almost since day 1 for Asher to finally be on this roster. I know that Nuttier was very excited for the flexibility of Asher across multiple roles, but like we said here in Skyrim Report, probably the most intriguing rookie in the draft. Switch to any role, relative same SR. Sherlock happens to build around a new face in the league. So I think he should definitely be a shapeshifter, if not rookie of the year contender. Was our 13th ranked overall prospect, if only just for kind of the mid-masters range, but going here at number 5 overall.
Yeah, and I think 13th is kind of sleeping on Asher, in my opinion. I know some captains who are willing to send him with a lot of those top 10 picks. And I'm not trying to flame the scouting report, because obviously they did a lot of work on this, but you talk about that value that you can have on multiple roles. You have the tank, DPS, and support for Asher, so you can really do a lot with this player. And I've heard some great things from the grapevine about them, so we'll see how it pans out for the Roham Harim? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't really know
It's a tough name.
That being said, our next pick is in already for the Suspicious Sherbs, and they have gone ahead and selected Mardox. Wait, hold on, we gotta do a quick refresh, and there we go. Now it's gonna be Mardox. They're going number 6 overall. Was our number 1 overall pick last season, but now falling a little bit down here to 6. I think Jack's gonna be really happy with this selection, getting our 4th overall prospect at number 6, getting a bit of value there early. Rohan Rohirrim. Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think Mardox is probably the best flex support in the entire pool, but does have that capability to flex to other roles. We saw them a lot on DPS last season, but they are like one of the best calmers like I have ever played with. He is like a really good, like a really chill guy. Should bring a lot of vibes to this team, but also should bring a lot of like communication and kind of that synergy, bringing the team together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that vibe. I think Mardox is the person that Jack was talking about wanting, and I think it's the right pick right here. You talk about him being the first overall pick last time, this time falling to 6. I mean, I could have seen him going in the top 5 as well, so I think Mardox at 6 is something that Jack's going to be really happy about, and it's something that the Sherbs are going to be, keeping their eye on. You can play Mardox on any role, And I think he'll be great on any of those roles, even the tank role.
And now here we go. The Sussy Spartans have selected their next pick at number 7, which is going to be, hold on a second, Cat Yada is going to be going number 7 to the Sussy Spartans. And Cat Yada, I think, is definitely one of the biggest questions in this draft, of course, being a rookie tank, but very high in terms of the SR. So probably having to go up against, someone like a Vind in terms of trying to find that value and trying to bring it to their team. We said that, I don't believe they showed up to the rookie showcase kind of pugs or combine. So we'll see how Cat Yada does. Hopefully they impress us and can become a face of the league here.
This guy's he's another player from that BPL Kitsune League. Played the mini event and currently is a captain in BPL Season 7. Is a tank player. I believe played a lot of Ramatra. Kind of makes sense for the name. But it seemed like he was pretty good. One of the highest SR tanks on the pool, the pool at 4,100. But yeah, I think that's like a really good heavy hitter, especially in a tank pool that I think is going to get dried up pretty quickly here early in this draft. I kind of like that pick at 7.
Yeah, and he's somebody who has a lot of competitive experience, not just being in BPL, but being in a number of other leagues, and also somebody who's rated himself 10 on the competitiveness scale, 8 on the communication scale. It's somebody who can absorb himself into the league, get a ton of value, and really help a team grow.
And our 8th overall pick is going to be in here for the Paramount Pastries. And with the 8th overall pick in our draft, the Pastries are going to go ahead and select Fire Carter. Now, I'm surprised Fire Carter actually felt a little bit this low. I mean, there was a lot of high SR players, but the fact that Fire Carter is just so flexible across all roles with high SR potential is a huge play here for Strudel to pick up here, especially so late in the draft. Halfway through, able to get a player of Fire Carter's caliber is a great start for your roster.
Yeah, I think this guy's especially like I said, the tank pool does kind of dry up really quickly. Fire Carter is signed up as a main role support, known for that Lucio, but does have a really good tank. He's one of those players that I think his passion of the game kind of says a lot. Even though he didn't play last season, I know this guy really enjoys the game and really likes helping other players around him try to improve themselves.
Hold on, make sure my caps lock's working. Okay, we're good. Our next pick is going to be in, and that is going to be the Estonian Egoists. Do a quick refresh on that one. And with that being said, with 9th overall pick in the Aurora Overwatch Clash Season 8 draft, they are going to select Anarchy. And I think Anarchy is definitely another huge question mark here for a lot of our teams, but I'm excited to see this fellow play because they have the Billy Harrington branding. Can't go wrong with that. We ranked him as a top 5 prospect as well. I know there's been a lot of excitement from the captains from this one as well. So the fact they fell all the way down to 9 is a huge value pickup here for the Egoists, especially if this turns out to be a great player.
Yeah, and this is somebody who I love what it says, early Rookie of the Year favorite, because this is somebody who probably has the highest combined SR on all roles compared to all the other rookies, and it's somebody who signed up as flex, obviously feels confident and comfortable on all the roles. For this team, when you have Sonic who can play the DPS but can also play the support, I think having somebody who's equally flexible on our SRs is super, super good.
Yeah, this guy had I remember in the signups, his availability didn't look really good, but I actually DM'd him, and he has some honestly his availability isn't bad. Can consistently make those default times. Is playing on Iliad Nyx, I believe, right now.
Go ahead.
But yeah,
you can finish.
That was it. I was done.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So 10th overall pick, the Kyoto Koi Dragons are going to select Dyer, and I know that Riddle is somewhere just fuming that this player got taken from him a couple of picks before his selection. But yep, Dyer coming back here, 12th overall prospect here, going number 10. And we said that just overall a solid tank player. Just don't bring up Season 4 Grand Finals. But you're also got the face of the Dyer cast, so.
When I think about Dyer, I think about the energy and the passion that he gives to the game. He's obviously has experience on a collegiate team where I think he's one of the better players on that team and is honestly somebody who can like hard carry a team. He hasn't gone as early as 10th, but I think this is a perfect time for him to go. And like I said, it's a draft where you don't have as many hard carry tank players, and if you get Dire, you're able to pair him up with somebody like Sanemi. Those can be 2 high masters players, and you still have a lot of room.
And our 11th overall pick is going to be in here for the St. Pauli's. So the 11th overall pick in the Overwatch Class Season 8 draft, the St. Pauli's are going to select Cray. And I think we said it correctly this time. You know, we were saying like Cry the entire time last season until halfway through until we got corrected. So I think we got Cray correctly here for pick number 11 for the St. Pauli's. And I think Cray was definitely a standout player last season when it came to the Somalian Silly Geese, you know, pairing up alongside Akua and sort of even upshowing that star DPS player who went number 2 in this draft to, I guess, kind of stand out in terms of dive compositions.
Yeah, what's crazy about Cray too is that he's a top 500 flex support too. So I'm really curious if he is gonna exclusively play DPS like he has the last 2 seasons in Aurora, or if he is gonna get pushed onto DPS because he does play or not DPS. If he gets pushed onto support because he does play support at a very high level.
But that's something that can work really well for Corey. Corey is about 400 SR difference between his DPS and his support. So is Cray. So Corey could play himself on DPS for one map and then immediately switch to Cray on DPS on another map. It's not that much of an SR discrepancy, so you can really use Cray to figure out what is best for you to play yourself and what's best for them to play.
And our number 12 pick is going to be in. So we'll put 13 over on the clock for the match monsters. But at the 12th overall pick, the Manitoba Magical Monosaurus will go ahead and select Silver Towels. You know, we are a bit behind on the draft prod, so it's not the Melch Moxers, it's going to be the Magical Monosaurus, so go ahead and get that out there. Refresh that. Get that back in the pick is in. Oh, we've broke it, boys. It didn't take us very long. It's been broken. Anyway, showing up the info here of Silver Towels, going number 12 overall. Silver Towels managed to make it back to back finals. Unorthodox flanking playstyle on Ana. Yeah, basically now the magical Mosaurs are probably going to be second. I think that's
true.
They've locked in second place.
So it's second in the playoffs, not second in the regular season. There's a big difference there. But this is the core of the Sydney Dragons back in season 6. Melon and Silver Towels played really well together. I know both these players love playing with each other, so this pick makes a whole lot of sense to me, and I think this should be a really good vibes team.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, Silver Charles was on the Baja last season as well, so I got to give him my praise, my highest of honors. Honestly, hard carrying, not just on the flex support, but he also picked up a couple of main support maps on that Lucio too, and he was looking absolutely disgusting. So very excited to see how this pans out for the Manitoba Magical Mosasaurs? Mosasaurs. Okay, gotcha.
Mosasaur.
A dinosaur team in the past 2 seasons.
Yup.
Anyway, the pick is in here at number 13 for the Manchester Mulch Maxers. Oh, wait, hold on. Was there a trade? Oh, there was a trade. Well, at number 13...
It's inconsequential, a trade.
Yeah, the Hog Hummingbirds are going to take Weeb, and the Mulch Maxers at 14 are going to take Greg. So, yippee. I wish they fixed this.
Greg was one of those players that showed up a lot during Pugs. Not Pugs, during ringing. Like, he showed up a lot ringing. Very high SR DPS. Plays a lot of that hit scan. Greg, I remember last season really wanted to sign up, but due to availability, didn't feel like that was a good move for his team. This season, I think his availability is a little bit better, so that's why he kind of signed up this season. But like I said, he's been kind of present in the community, even though this is his rookie season. So I'm really excited to see how this core of Greg and Riddle Dog do.
Okay, we do have our 15th pick in, but this was also a trade. So this one is going to be made by the... Well, I have to make this trade. I have to make this change real quick on my thingy. So give me a moment. You guys keep talking about
a bit of context. The Skyser character for the Hog Hummingbirds traded up with Riddle Dog. So Skyser basically took a pick before Riddle Dog and then moved down in a previous round. That way they could both get sort of back-to-back picks and a little bit more similarity between their own picks, which kind of helps in the later rounds. But Skyser was really adamant about getting this Weeb player, and obviously in my opinion, after the Pugs night that we had, Weeb was looking super scary. You saw the montage he posted on his YouTube where he was just like diffing in comp, diffing in Pugs. You saw all the captains that wanted him in his DMs. He was getting hit up by all the scouts, and I'm not surprised that he's going 14th overall. A very, very valuable first round pick.
All right, and I mean, because we are like 8 picks behind this point, we're just gonna blaze through these next ones real fast. So you guys get nothing on prod, so blame your captains because they're going too fast. At pick number 15, it is going to be Wind going the way of the Sussy Spartans. And then we have Neptune and the Zimbabwe Zebras with back-to-back picks going with Yak and Fire at 16 and 17 respectively. And then we have TC who trade up to pick number 18, selecting Fancy. The Hummingbirds at number 19 are going to pick up Tedium. Pick number 20 for the Mulchmax will be Luca. Pick number 21 will be Void Fiber. Pick 22 for the St. Pauli's will be Nathan. And pick number 23 for the Koi Dragons will be Kernmaster. So we'll go ahead and get that all updated into the draft. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show the roster pages so we get a little less confusion going on here. But so give me a moment to do that. Any picks in those last like 8 or 9 that really stand out to you guys is perhaps like a huge value pick or reach or whatever you want to say about it.
One thing I think is really funny is I remember last season, during all of the mock drafts, everyone thought Neptune was going to take Yak and Fire the first 2 rounds. So it's really funny to see him get the exact players he was trying to get last season, Yak and Fire. So I'm really curious to see how Neptune's team is going to work out, because this is kind of the team I think he really wanted to go for last season.
And I've been doing a bit of prep with Neptune as well, and he's sort of been talking about Yak and Fire being his 2 picks for a while. Obviously, there are a lot of talented players in the pool, but I think he has some good plans about how to utilize these 2, especially because he does have that last overall pick. You have Yak and Fire who are both flexible, like they can both play the DPS and the tank respectively, but they also have a support that they can pull out. Combo that with Neptune, who has that flexibility as well. I think that's a really good 2 picks.
Another thing I do want to point out real quick is I think going into this draft, I was talking to War a little bit before the draft. I think there's 2 players that I really am curious to see who they go. One of them is Nathan. So seeing Nathan go 22nd to Quarry, that's another one of those players that can play DPS and support. So that's another one. I'm really curious to see how Quarry is going to flex around this roster, because he has a lot of very flexible players that can fill kind of the same SR despite having completely different hero pools. So should be a very flexible team that should work really well together.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. That pick was kind of shocking to me, but also, I mean, Corey's really racking up the people who can sort of are multifaceted, in my opinion.
DPS. We're almost there. We can almost show these rosters. Go ahead, keep going.
Another one is I don't know how many 4K players are left. I know one of them is Kernmaster. So I think Kernmaster, the most recent 4K player to go, 23rd overall. Considering that's a GM player, might be able to play other roles too. That is kind of low for them to go, to be honest. I was expecting a lot of these GM players to get taken kind of earlier in the draft. Look at some of the other ones here.
Okay, we're all figured out here. So now we can just go through a quick round summary of round 1, see where everything all lined up after round 1. Pick 25 is going to be on the clock. Okay, so we see here the Vind, Akua, Knave, Sky, Asher. I think those 5 are kind of locked in before we really walked into the draft today. Really, the only big surprise here for me would probably be... there really isn't one. But I think Dyer going a little earlier than I might have expected at 10. I thought he was going to fall to Riddle at 14. And I think that Riddle also kind of believed that. But, I mean, like you said, Melon putting together a very strong roster right now because they're going to have... Void Fiber as well as Silvertails with Melon, so it's a great looking roster so far. We can take a look at the complete roster with a couple picks in our second round already completed. Chloe still have yet to make her first selection there for the Maples. We'll see how that team really kind of comes together at the end of it. But
I'm having an issue with the sheet right now, so I'm trying to fix that real quick.
Fair enough.
There we go.
Yeah. I think a lot of these teams have a really good foundation. You can see some of them already got the double picks in, and some of those double picks are for trades. Some of the teams I want to highlight is the Sussy Spartans have 2 picks in the first, which they used on Wind and Cat Yada, and now they're not going to pick for the next 2.5 rounds. You have teams like the Sherbs and the Rohirrim, maybe? I think, who are going to have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds, and then they're not going to pick until the 4th as well. And then you have Chloe, Florin, all on her lonesome, hanging out, waiting till the 3rd round because she intentionally traded out of the 1st and the 2nd round to basically get only 3rd round picks.
Pretty cool, huh? Anyway.
Very cool, very cool.
With that being said, our 25th pick is going to be in on the board here, and that is going to go the way of the Paramount Pastries, and it is going to be... nope, not going to be that. Rusty Goomba, hey, at 25 for the flex roll. And I think a lot of people see Rusty coming in at, like, you know, this sort of mid-20s, upper 20s kind of pick for just the flexibility. I believe wanting to play a little more tank this season, so maybe going kind of back to the roots here. We'd have him 20th in our prospect ranking, but of course, the GOAT of Overwatch 1, voted on by the admin team as well as the general public, and always provides a high level of comms according to our scouting report. So, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
There's been some drafts where Rusty Goomba's gone 1st overall, so 25th I think is a great spot for him to go. I think the disadvantage to Rusty, he doesn't really have the flexibility this season, only locked onto tank, but he has been a staple core tank player for every single team he's been on. I always underrate like how well this guy can calm, how much synergy you can get when you have a locked in Rusty Goomba on your team.
Absolutely locked in. And our next pick is in already from the Rohan Rahim. And it is going to be Wrecked Cactus at 26.
I feel like Derek is one of those like staple Aurora / Overwatch League players where he is I think not just a solid all-around DPS machine, a solid machine on any single role. I think he's one of the only people to win a championship on 2 different roles. Super flexible, super knowledgeable about the game. If you're picking him up, you're looking for him to be that like flex player. And if you try him on DPS, maybe that doesn't work that well for your team. You can always put him on support. You can always put him on tank. And hey, he has championships on those roles too.
Our 27th pick is already in, going the way of Suspicious Sherbs. And it is going to be Killjoy on the flex. The thing with Killjoy is they've looked very good on the Sigma and Silly Geese. How much that was the help of Akua and Cray in the DPS line, well, who knows? But Killjoy, for their ranking on tank, had a really good showing, especially on Junker Queen and Winston specifically. Of course, the main role being on support, but still signing up here for flex and ready to hop on in for the Suspicious Serbs. And I think that Killjoy can really build on what we saw last season, because we saw, look at these stats, very solid with the 19 Elans per 10, 5 deaths. Just really doing their job most of the time, is what you can describe for Killjoy.
I think Killjoy, it's kind of... I had him going in the 1st round, truthfully, in some of my mock drafts, and I think that would have been a valuable place. The fact that he's falling to like this mid-2nd round pick, I think this is... Or actually even late 2nd round pick, I think it's like super high value. He has an almost GM on support, but if you're drafting him, in my opinion, he's like that tank DPS player who can play like 200 SR, 300 SR above what he is on the sheet.
Our 20th pick is in here for the Rohan Rahiman, and it is going to be Ox. The fact that Ox is still around here at 28, I know he's off-rolling on a DPS, but I think that, honestly, picking up Ox with Wreck Cactus, Nuttier, Asher, this team is looking really flexible and really strong in communication department.
Yeah, I think this is like a typical Nuttier play. It's like one guy that like maybe falls a little bit, but does have like a really high peak. I know last season he was talking a lot about you, BOON1E. He's like, this guy is off. He's playing on his off roll this season, but he's really good value because that knowledge he carries over from tank should translate really well. Oaks is another one of those players. Again, like you said, has that comms, but is off rolling from 4K on tank. Kind of like a typical value Nuttier play that I kind of expect him to take.
Our 20th overall pick is in for the Milky Way Martians, and it is going to be Taken Wallet. We don't have an info screen for Taken Wallet, unfortunately, because they are a rookie. It's also going to give us a shout to show our fantastic face here on the camera. It's been a while since we see the desk. We've been going at a blistering pace here. We're 29 picks, and we're still picks behind, but I'm just taking a break for a moment to catch our breath here. Taking Wallet, Panini, this is kind of your guy. You were bringing up a lot kind of in the offseason as being a huge value pick. So I do want to see, what you got to say about taking Wallet.
I actually just played against this team in BPL Season 7. This guy's a really good hit scan, has been playing a lot of Freya lately. On the sheet, he's only 3,100, which is honestly a pretty good value for this guy. But he's kind of a known guy, locks in. I think it's really committed. Because it is from that BPL circle, the core of Taken Wallet, Bunny and Sky have, they all know each other, they all play really well together. So I think this makes a whole lot of sense for this core that Bunny is building right now.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense as well. I think it's a very valuable pick. I've heard a lot of great things about taking Wallet. I am expecting a heavy BPL team for Bunny just because, and this is not a bad thing, I think there's a lot of knowledge about BPL. I think she knows who's good from BPL and who's going to be the sneaky value picks like taking Wallet is.
Yep. And with that being said, our next pick is going to be in, and it is going to not be taking Wallet. In fact, we're going to do a quick refresh, and it is going to be, give me a moment, come on, don't break on me now. There we go, Hollow Fungus on the flex roll. I'm also getting a call, so Prod is going to take a break while I go off that direction. You guys talk about what we've had so far in terms of the draft. I'll show you the team rosters page, and you guys can take it from there for a couple minutes.
They are flooding in right now. I'm trying to update this sheet real quick. So you go ahead, War. I'm almost there.
Yeah, of course. So I think the most recent updates we get, let me make sure I'm actually not spoiling anything for you guys at home. Hollow Fungus for the Mankato Tomatoes. I gotta say, I love that name, and I love the sort of super flexible pick for Hollow Fungus. Obviously can play that support role, but I've seen rumors that he might flex around to the DPS as well. I think that's going to work really well with Topaz. Topaz is somebody who last season wanted to play more of that DPS, but is still always really good on the support. And I talked about previously how important SR matches are in drafts like this. I think that's a great SR match for somebody like Topaz. And when you have a really stable tank in Knave, that's really a good place to draft from. I want to talk about a few of the other picks that came in that we have not talked about yet, but I don't believe are updated on this screen. So I want to talk about some overall teams then. Let's talk about the Rohirrim, where they already have 4 people picked up. And I want to say this is a classic staple nuttier team. It's very reminiscent to me of what he was trying to do with the it's the team that Jack and Yak were on. I'm forgetting the name of the Bunger Brigade. Yes, where you're gonna have 4 master-ish players, and then you're gonna have one slight SR sync, not a heavy SR sync, just a slight SR sync, a 2.8 player, a 2.7 player to offset that. You don't have a hard sync. You have a mostly flat team. You have one person that may be a slight carry on the Belfast Bunger Brigade. It was Melon. This time I think it's gonna be Asher.
Yeah.
And the other good thing about this is all these people for the Rohan are very, very flexible. So I think that's going to bode very well for them in the future.
Yeah, another one I'm really looking at is Riddle Dog. You have Luca and you have Weeb. Luca is a really high SR flex support. I do think there is a world where Luca does play DPS. Is a really good value on DPS. Also 3,100. So translating a 3,900 to 3,100 player on their off roll is really, really good value. So Riddle Dog, I think, might be able to flex around. Last season he did play DPS. I'm really curious where these players are going to end up in the starting lineup, but I think there's a lot of really good talent on this team. There should be a lot of good comms here too.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, are we okay to talk about picks of the future? Yeah.
Keep going.
I think we just okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So we just had Hollow Fungus, I believe, was the most recent one.
Yeah, Hollow Fungus. So we have Chloe's first overall pick. That's going to be Florin with the Merry Maples. And they're going to be taking Dr. Jargo off the board. This is another player who's going to be new to Aurora, but looks very promising on this tank role specifically, but has the other roles that they can flex around to.
Yeah, Dr. Jargo, also known as Fimi, is another name they go by. This is a tank player. I do think Chloe was looking for a tank here. In my rumors I was hearing, Chloe really wanted to get Rusty Goomba. Rusty Goomba got taken a little bit before, but Dr. Jargo, I remember, was a very solid option they had on their list too. So Chloe kind of gets like one of those players they still wanted to build a team around, even available at 31 for their first overall pick. So that is honestly pretty good value for someone that Chloe was looking to build a team around.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And we do have another pick in. That's going to be let's see who's next. It's gonna be Lore for Cat's team. And Paninii, I know you're helping this team draft, but I actually had Lore going at this exact pick because I
Yeah.
know you love to talk about how valuable this player is. I think probably a little bit underrated because the last team they were on was the Noopy, I think.
Nessies. Yeah, they were on the
Nessies.
Noopies. They were on the
They were
Noopies.
on the
That was season
Noopies,
3.
yes.
Yeah, they were on the Noopy. They were duoed with a player named Grizzly. Grizzly kind of disappeared after season 3. But yeah, Lore has been around. 3,400 DPS player, plays a lot of hit scan. A really good, like, very vocal player. I think should pair really well with Akua. You have Akua has like that big like pop-up potential, the big mechanics. Lore, I think, should be able to add some comms to this team. So I think this team is starting to get structured very well. And I'm really excited to see what Paige is going to do with the rest of the draft. I did help her do a lot of the prep, but I told her I was like, I want you to make your own decisions for the draft. So I think Laura is like a really good shout for her. That was one of the players I did tell her could fall a little bit, but also could be pretty good value a little bit later. And
Do you want to
so we
break
have
down the next
Laura.
pick?
Pick 33 to the suspicious Sherbs. Goes War. War is the first desk player that is being picked up early round 3 by Jack. So,
Oh my
War, looking at the
gosh.
rest of your team, what's kind of your breakdown so far on Jack's team?
I'm not gonna lie, he texted me when he was picking me up, and I was like, oh, wait, what? I'm kind of blindsided by that pick. I'm not gonna not hype myself up as a good pick. Let's see if, okay, let me see who we got right now. We got Killjoy, we got Mardox, we got myself, we got Jack. So we're looking for a DPS then, I think? Okay, well, let's
That
get a
sounds right.
DPS then. Or you just play me
Yeah.
on DPS. Chills.
Jack, next pick is at the very end of round 4. So might be a little bit until you
Oh
get
my
your
god,
last
leave me
player.
alone. These fucking guys are calling me. Okay, we're back. We're 25 picks behind. God damn it.
No, we're only 8, I believe. So we can come back. I think these picks are going to start to come in a little bit slower too, as these teams are starting to kind of cook with their sheets. So I think we do have a chance to catch up here.
I sure as heck hope so, because I'm at pick 39 on my sheet. Let's
Yeah,
see.
we have.
So pick 40. Where were you guys at when you were last discussing?
We just had War was the most recent one
Yep.
we talked about.
Okay, so I'll get all the latest picks in here, and then we'll just we'll do some round summaries to get everything all lined up. So I'm at pick 41, pick 42. I apologize, Chad. I got called in from my HVAC guy, and he wouldn't hang up the phone.
Sounds right.
So I got stuck in a communication loop of
I
random
do wanna
garbage that
check
I don't need to
something.
talk about.
I do want to check something real quick of our most recent player that was picked up. Let's see. Okay. With the next player that is picked up, we have 34th to the Macau Mouse. Cat picks up Milo 16 Milo. Honestly, like last season was kind of a big core part of his team. Pretty high SR support. I am a little curious who is going to play flex support between Milo and Cat. I do think Milo is willing to play some like Kiriko here and there, so I could see Milo jumping over to that flex support role. But on paper, Milo, Lore, and Akua, along with Paige as the captain, that's honestly a pretty solid 4.
Okay, I think I'm all caught up on the most recent picks. Number 46 is on the clock. We're here. 45, last pick was going to be Space Maker for the Mulch Maxer, so we can go ahead and do a quick round by round summary. In round 2, it was Fire, then Fancy, Tedium, Luca, Void Fiber, Nathan, Kernmaster, Razor, Rusting Oompa, Wreck Cactus, Killjoy, Ox, Taken Wallet, Hollow Fungus, Dr. Jargo, and Lore at 32. Going into round 3, it's War, Milo, Spinal, Fish, Whalefish, Rulupinus, Corgi, Don Waggler, BOON1E, Thomas Lat, Flambo Jambo, Jess, and Space Maker.
Woo!
Shouting them out.
Shout them out one by one.
Yeah,
Going through, we now have Chloe's first 4 players
Yep.
already off the
And
clock. Only
She's
she
like the
hasn't
first one to
actually
complete a team
started
too.
lineup, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think this makes a lot of sense. Like I said, Dr. Jargo was one of those players Chloe was talking a lot about. I know Whalefish and Corgi were also on the list. Jeffs did show up a lot during Pugs as a sync. That's kind of like some really good commitment. Drafting a sync, I think having someone that is able to show up and willing to put in that time in is a good sign that this player will improve throughout the season. So I'm really excited to see kind of how Jess progresses throughout the season, especially at their SR at 2300.
Yeah, Jess was one of the highlight players for me, just because like she felt like so knowledgeable on Ana. She'd like hit sleeps that I would not expect to hit. She'd like hit antis that I would not expect to hit. There were moments where I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually a gold player who has lineups for Ana, and one of the lineups actually worked in Pugs. Kind of crazy.
So pick 46 is in here for the Mulch Maxers, and we'll go ahead and reveal that it is going to be Ninyum coming back after a bit of a hiatus there, but Ninyum returning here for the Mulch Maxers at 46. And that pick is incorrect. There's actually the Magical Monsters at 47, so we'll get that update as well. So you guys go ahead and talk about the last two picks for the Mulch Max for Spacemaker and Nim. So two people, two legends almost of the sport making their way back in here.
That's like season 4 of Overwatch League, I think, was when Naga played, and then Spacemaker, I want to say, was even before that. I believe Spacemaker and Riddle Dog, this is before my time, but I believe they played on the Axolotls together, if I remember correctly.
I think
you might be right. I don't know. That was like my early time.
And then Naga, Ninyum, the first time we're seeing this player since the Paradise Pinguinos, which they captained season 3. So both these teams, after a very long hiatus, I think Spacemaker came in mid-season for the Floppas in season 6, and then also came in mid-season for the Alligatos after Skycer broke both of his arms, season 5.
All right, our 47th pick is going to be in here, and with the 47th pick in the Overwatch Clash Season 8 draft, the Mantua Magical Monosaurs are going to go ahead and select HVSec. My thing is always behind. There you go. HVSec is now off the board, and HVSec has always been around since Season 1, actually, I believe, on the Rough Riders. So, our Sky Import says here, definition of a quiet assassin, able to hit most impactful characters in DPS role, especially in hit scan. He's on to play all 3 roles of a similar SR, makes him a great building piece for any roster, and especially when you look at the Monosaurs roster right now and just how loaded it is in terms of SR. Getting someone like HVSec who's low diamond, mid diamond is always great to kind of build around here going forward.
Yeah, I definitely agree. HV, one of my good friends, and also somebody who is like super like passionate about the league, has played in every season. I think only like a handful of people have that achievement of every single season of Aurora, of Overwatch League, and somebody who literally didn't talk for the first like 5 seasons coming out of his shell, and great pick for, I believe, Melon's team.
You'd be correct on Melon's team.
Yes. Yeah, Melon's she's got a really good lineup going.
Yes, she does. We are a few picks behind, so we'll do a quick rundown of the Zimbabwe Zebras back-to-back here at 48 and 49. At pick 48, they are going to select Transflex, and at pick 49, we're going to go ahead and take up on Sliced Bread. And then at pick number 50, the Monosaurs are back on the clock, and they are going to go ahead and select Mistletoe 18. Do that quick reveal quick. Mistletoe 18. Info. Oh, everything's broken though. They're going too fast for us, boys. They're going way too fast for us.
They're going very
I
fast.
concur.
We can't even talk about anything, man. I think the Hog Hummingbirds are on the clock at 51. I could be mistaken. I was not mistaken. They're going back to back at 51 and 52. Pick number 51, they're going to pick up Paradox, forming the Skycer and Paradox combo that they've been wanting to do for a while now, with Paradox and the DPS. And then pick number 51 was Paradox, and pick number 52, they're going to pick up Warbler Hawk. So some 2 solid additions there for that squad. Go ahead and update all these roles here so we can look at the team role. Warbler Hawk. The captains aren't. I'm gonna be real with you, chat. The captains are not putting in the roles they're picking these players for. So I'm literally just guessing.
Warbler Hawk support. Yep.
Okay, Warblehawk support. To the
Yep.
Hummingbirds of 52, 53. That's not the right team either. So many trades that. Oh, God. Okay, Sussy Spartans at 53 are going to pick up Para. So go ahead and talk about Para while I keep updating the sheet.
Yeah, I think Parra is
Former
somebody who,
grand finals
as
winner.
somebody who's drafting with this team, we're surprised they fell this late. There's somebody who is a grand finalist and a grand finals winner from last season, won all the games they were in, I believe. I think this is super, super valuable. And most people on, in my opinion, this Fire squad, like, kind of like went up and SR or stayed the same. But this pair dropped like 200 SR, which is kind of crazy.
Para was always saying that they were like kind of boosted. I think like 3 seasons ago they had a much higher SR, which was kind of bringing their average SR up a little bit higher. The way that we are calculating though, that season did drop off, so that's what kind of attributed to that drop in the SR. But that being said, like Para is another very vocal player. 3,400 I think is very good for how he plays. He went undefeated 3-0 in the grand finals, winning all 3 maps that he played. I'm a big fan of Para. I think he was really worried he was going to fall to the last round. Does get taken round 4, so I'm sure he's really happy with that.
Okay, we've had a bit of a slowdown here from the captains. They finally decided to test their breath. We're on the pick at 56. The Estonian egoists are on this clock. So let's go ahead. We'll take a quick look at the completed team rosters now that we're all getting catch up here once again. Looking at so far, I don't think there's any teams that stand out, I guess, is potentially like a world beat, but nothing that really stands to fall behind either. So, are there any teams here now that we've got a couple more players and a couple teams have a complete starting roster all lined up that stand out for you guys? I'll wait for number 56 to come in.
Let me go through real quick. It's kind of weird too because the syncs are just hitting, so now I'm starting to like see kind of how the rest of the team works out.
Yep.
Corey. I like Corey's team a whole lot. Nathan, like I said earlier, really good value on that DPS. Cray, I'm not sure if gonna play DPS or support. I think they likely will rotate with Corey depending on what DPS they are gonna run. And then they get Yoda super late. I was not expecting Yoda to fall to round 4 as a 3,500 tank. So I'm sure Corey is ecstatic that Yoda fell that far. And then they also get Flambo Jammo too. Very good vibes, very good calmer. Should be like kind of the glue to hold this team together.
Yeah, Corey's really good at making these 5e teams, in my opinion. Another team that is fully completed that I'm really excited to see like come to fruition are going to be the Hummingbirds. That's going to be the team of Skycer. I think that Skycer has a team of like all players who get underrated consistently. Like, what do you expect about like the Paradox DPS? I think Teddy M is one of the most underrated players in the league. And you got 2 rookies in Weeb who from Pugs, I feel like people are already sleeping on him. And Warblerhawk, somebody who I've seen a lot of good things about. I think you got a lot of promise with that team as well.
The pick is in here at number 56. So with pick number 56, the Stony Egoists are going to head and pick up WK to fill in that support role. We also have a couple more picks that came in real rapid fire. Like, a lot of picks coming in. Okay, so number 57, the Pastries are going to pick up Muffin Lumps. At pick number 58, the Sexy Spartans are going to pick up Nolly. I think that's how you pronounce that one. At pick number 59, the Green Hill Guppies are going to pick up Trumpetron. And our last pick at number 60 here, before we can talk a little more, is going to be Paninii, going the way of the Maples. So,
Yippee!
yippee.
I know Panini. Yeah, you were saying there might be a chance that you're going like in the last round, but you make it in the 4th, and I think that's a very deserved pick. Even though DPS only, don't sleep on the Shrimpleton DPS line.
I was, in fact, the last player drafted on my team, though, even though I was not the last round, as Chloe's roster is now complete. Ready to go to bed now at 7:53 p.m. Chloe gets all 6 players on their roster. What are you guys thinking about this team? I don't want to speak a lot for myself, but
I have no idea what the team is because I have
give me
been
a
trying to make
moment.
a sheet to follow her along. I don't know who it is.
60, I gotta update this one as the Maples.
So tank is going to be Dr. Jargo. I'm assuming the starting lineup is going to be DPS as Florin and Whalefish, and the support line is going to be Corgi and Jess. And then I believe I would be swapping in for Jess, and then they would move probably Florin to support, I would assume.
Lauren to support seems like a cook of all time, even.
It definitely does seem like a cook. Okay. Refresh this. Is in. Okay, so now the tomatoes, I believe, are on the clock at number 62, if I'm not mistaken. Unless there's another draft trade that I don't know about. At pick number 61, we did go ahead and have the Milky Way Martians pick up Hyper 225. So if we have anything in Hyper, we'll put that up on the screen right there. At pick number 61. Basically pointed out that Hyper at the Rookie Showcase had a really good showing in terms of, I guess, playing that kind of flex support role in that lower SR lobby. But honestly, we mentioned here in Skyrim, really good in-game communication and leadership, fight planning, was able to flex to a lot of supports, Moira, the Ana, basically Hyper able to play a lot that the team wanted, not really limited in terms of hero pool, good comms, should be exciting rookie to look out for.
Yeah, I think that Hyper was my like standout one from like the low SR lobby. Like if I was to get anybody from that low SR lobby, it'd be a Hyper. He just felt so fun to play with, and every time I got on a team with him, it was like complete vibes every time. So I think these are all really good picks. So we get to see some of the latest picks that went off the board. Or no, aren't some of the latest picks on the board. Some of the people who are still on the board. Sorry about that.
I wonder why it's not taking
This is
WK
good for
off,
visualization.
but WK is taken. I wonder why it's not working, but they're off the board. Other than that, everything else should be up to date here. We still see a lot of like these prospects we had ranked in the top 40, top 50 still around here at 62, which is kind of surprising for a lot of these players. Yeah, back to us now. I believe we have another pick in here for the Mankato Tomatoes. Oh, it's been my bad, guys. It's been 30 seconds. We have 4 picks in to go through. Pick number 62, it's going to be Trevin going the way of the Mankato Tomatoes. At pick number 63, Dante Fanfan goes over to the Mouse. At pick number 64, Shattered Axe goes to the Suspicious Sherbs. At pick number 65, Rebel 5661 or 5611 goes to the Rahimian, whatever the nerd team is. I'm getting flustered here. They're going way too fast. We can't even talk about anybody. So in the last 4 picks, what happened?
Honestly, I'd love to tell you. I'm trying to pick out. I think that these are all very good picks. A lot of the supports tend to fall to the late rounds. Like no like flame against them. There's a lot of supports in this draft, and there's a lot of like high SR supports, and a lot of high SR supports get favored towards the later rounds. I think that these like specifically like high SR supports, like if you put Dante Fanfan for support, Shadowed Axe, Rebel, Trevin, I think this is like the time when they're going off the board because people are realizing, hey, why are these guys still here? They should 100% be off the board. Dante Fanfan, one of the people who won the Mystery Heroes tournaments. Hyper, probably my star from the Pugs. Rebel, somebody who was playing on 100 to 200 ping on the Pugs and was absolutely popping off. These are some great players who are going off the board.
Refresh. Show who's next on the board. It should be the Sherbs that are on the board here, and pick number 66. No? I've stopped seeing somebody who's typing.
The Sherbs at pick number 66.
Sherbs at pick number 6. It's the Mouse at 66?
Mouse at 66, yep.
Okay, Mouse at 66. So go ahead and we'll update that.
I was doing my calcs. There is one player that fits in perfectly with this team.
As considering you are the one who's been, drafting for him, so.
Yeah. I am not sure if Paige is cooking anything else up. There could be another thing on the board. One thing I do want to point out real quick, I just noticed earlier, Saga at 3,900 is still on the board. They are a main support. Like we did kind of say, though, those support players do tend to fall a little bit. But 3,900 going in the last round is super surprising for me.
Yeah, speaking of prospects, we can go ahead and see who's still left here on the board. S6 for you to choose from here, Panini.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, Saga to the southwest up there, our 35th ranked prospect still falling away down here to 66. Everybody else kind of seemingly falling in line now. We're seeing a lot of like the 70s, the high 60s. So kind of around here. I'm shocked that Spicy's still here. That's a big one for me after this rookie showcase showing at 48 there. I thought that Spicy had a really good night there at the Pugs. So
I think another one is Ruben. It's like Ruben on the DPS 3250 is not bad at all. We also have coming off of that season where he was a captain, so you know that he does have that kind of leadership ability in him. We see Paige actually, not what I was expecting, but I don't hate this either. Taking mommy issues. I believe that could be a sub for herself.
Yeah, that is, I think,
Yeah,
the exact
yeah.
perfect substitute for herself. I think a 10 SR difference, or sorry, a 10 total SR difference, a 50 SR difference between the two, but basically the same like role and two players who can get a ton of value.
Yeah, let me check the sheet real quick just to make sure. And then we have, and then, so this would be. I think this is actually Milo DPS, and then Dante Fan support. That is exactly SR cap, and then you do have that 1-for-1 sub for Cat coming out for mommy issues. Yeah, coming off of the Baja Blasters last season. And then...
Okay, looking down here, we're going to pick number 67, and it is going to be the main kit tomatoes on the clock. So, okay, now the main kit tomatoes are on the clock. Again, we can take a quick breath, take a look at these completed or not completed team rosters for some of these players and some of these people. We're still waiting for the Milky Way Martians to get their 5th pick, as well as the Guppies.
It was a crazy fast draft so far. We're already down to the last, 13 picks?
Yep.
Yes, it has
Blazing fast even.
It has been an insanely fast draft that we can't get to show off our prog graphics I've been working on, unfortunately, for some of us who coded it for, a month and a half.
He was spending like weeks on this.
And
I remember seeing like every couple of weeks I see one pop up and it's like, this is my new prog graphic I made.
Yep, nope.
Yep,
we didn't get to see half the players get drafted on it.
Yep, we do got a few more picks going off the board too. The Mankato Tomatoes pick has been selected, I believe. I don't know if you're ready for it, BOON1E.
Uno Momato. I think we'll go ahead and do this. Yep, with the C7th overall pick in the Season 8 draft, going the way the main tomatoes is going to be Bucket to play that DPS. We saw Bucket last season on the Hatsune Frikus, playing a lot of that Reaper guy kind of positioning, as well as the we see here in the scouting report. The interesting the Frikus run because the SR differences of how good that team looked with Bucket in and how bad it looked with Bucket out. I think it's definitely
week 3, I believe, when Bucket was not there for the first 2 maps. The Kittens took the first 2 maps off of the Frikus. When Bucket showed up, the Frikus promptly reverse swept the Kittens. So, kind of shows the impact this guy has, especially at this SR range. Able to play 3K on both DPS and support. Really good SR for this player. Able to cover those 2 roles too.
And our 68th pick is going to be in here as well for the Milky Way Martians. And they are going ahead and pick up Ruben Lagunas.
Yeah, I think Ruben Lagoon's somebody who has been like a staple like DPS player, has all roles selected too. I'd love to see the Ruben Lagoons flexing around to that support sometimes. I feel like he'd be good there. Yeah, I think a super like valuable overall pick, and I'm surprised they fell this late. I think he's gonna pair very well with the BPL team that Bunny's building.
We do have our funny number pick in here at number 69 for the Rohan Rorahim. I did not say that right at all. But Nuttier team. Yep, their pick is in. So pick number 69, the greatest honor we could possibly bestow upon a player. It's going to be Lobster coming in to play supports. So, anybody know anything about Lobster?
I do not know the most about Lobster. I've
Do you know
heard that they
anything
have
about
some.
Lobster?
I've heard they have some previous league experience that somebody was talking to me about. I think. So I think so. It's somebody who is like, not new to the competitive space. Somebody who definitely like has experience somewhere. So I think that is going to be like very good to get. I also know that they're kind of on an SR threshold of their own. I think that's why they're falling this late. Somebody who's kind of difficult to pick up, because if you're trying to plan around like 2 to 3 players, nobody's even near him on support SR. I think I'm the closest, and I'm like 150 away from him, and then like you got Muffin above. But it's hard to plan around, but I'm glad he got a nice home.
And pick number 70, the Suspicious Sherbs are going to go ahead and select Southwest, who I believe was our top remaining prospect on the board, on the big board. So good for Southwest to finally get off the board, off this little schneid. They're going to be on support, though, which I believe their main role was DPS, if I'm not mistaken, but perhaps just sliding in the Sherb is their role, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's good for the Shrubs because you get Southwest, and I think you also got Shadowed Axe. I think those two wanted to play with each other, wanted to be on the same team, maybe had a bit of competitive experience together, and I feel like they're going to get a lot of value together. I feel like that synergy that you can get, same people, very important.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are not. The stream isn't quite updated, but we are almost done with the draft. There's only 6 picks left that have not been chosen yet. Yeah, like we're saying, Southwest, we see so far 4 out of 6 players that have been drafted on support. So, like we were kind of expecting, a lot of these support players are going kind of later in the draft.
Pick number 71 is going to be in here for the Sussy Spartans, and is going to go ahead and be Biggie Stretch here at 71. War, you can go ahead and speak to Biggie Stretch. They were on.
Hey, I just want to say, I feel like people are sleeping on Biggie Stretch. Biggie Stretch, like one more map, or like on average, like one more maps in grand finals than I did. Like, I think this is somebody who is one of the best, one of the absolute best, like, sync supports that you could ask for. Lower in SR than me, and potentially even more valuable than me with the way he was playing Ana, Kiriko, Juno. Super flexible on those flex rolls, and I think that's going to be a great pick for the Sussy Spartans.
Our second pick is also in here as well for the Paramount Pastries, and they're going to head and pick up Saga. And you were talking about Saga still being available here this late in the draft, and I think Strudel has built a great team around the SR of Saga and can really kind of fit them in anywhere. Panini, if you have any, if you know.
Looking at it right now, I am assuming Saga only plays support, so I'm assuming the core comp probably is something with either Strudel or Fire Carter on support. People are probably going to end up flexing around on this team. A lot of their players are listed as flex, able to play multiple roles. Saga, I believe, is the only one that is locked to that support, but is 3,900, and like I said, I think this is a pretty good player, especially this late in the draft.
The pick is in here at pick number 73 as well for the Stony Egoists, and it is going to go ahead and be the Nort Logic coming off the board at 73. It all comes full circle. Remember when me and Nort were trading for each other? Well, you guys don't remember because you weren't here, but in Season 2 of Overwatch League, me and Nort were trading for each other on draft night, and now we share a roster. Now we share a home.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh my gosh, let's go!
Incredible how
That's so
things come
wholesome.
along.
Absolutely is incredible. And Nort's somebody who's very PMA, very vibey. I've had the pleasure of meeting him IRL. He's one of the coolest, neatest guys to be on a team.
He roller skates, so that's really cool.
He does roller skate.
That's actually crazy. That's actually so
yeah.
crazy. I would have never guessed.
The pick is in here at number 74 for the Kyoto Koi Dragons as well, and it is going to be Spicy finally coming off the board here. Definitely way later than I thought. I think the Koi Dragons just got a huge steal in the draft. I think that if not Rookie of the Year, a good shapeshifter candidate. We saw a really good look on the Mei, on the Pugs, as well as that tank. I believe they claim themselves as best hatchers NA. I'm sure someone like Vind or Kat Yada want to speak on that one, but for now, we'll let them hold on to that belief.
I mean, me personally, like, I've seen some really good tanks, and I saw this guy in Pugs, and he was able to stand up when eventually the lowest R lobbies started trickling in. We got Wind in there, we got Melon in there, we got Fancy in there, we got the scary tanks in there, and Spicy was still not only holding their own, they were making some really big plays. You got them on a team with I think a leader in Vind, and they were doing these like Orisa TP plays with Sim and Orisa, with the Orisa ult and just bombing the backline. This is somebody who has Calling All Heroes experience and is very, very game smart. You can just tell by the way they talk, you can tell by the way they calm. They are very intelligent, and they know exactly what they're doing. I think this is a good home for them as well, too.
All right, we are a couple picks behind here, so go through this quickly. At 75, the same Paulo is going to pick up Slade. And at pick number 76, the Manitoba Magical Monosaur select Big Brain. So we're on at number 77 here for the Mulch Maxers. And their pick is in. So we'll go ahead and reveal. At number 77 in the World Overwatch Clash Season 8 draft, the Mulch Maxers are going to pick up etc. Incorrect again. Do a bit of a refresh. Hold on. Did I put the thing in wrong? I did put the thing in wrong.
Yeah.
I did put the thing in wrong. Perhaps this could be a user error for like the first time. We've never had any problems before. Refresh. Reveal. There he is. Etc's on the board. Selected. I wanted to bring up the scouting report because OG's Aurora, Overwatch League, etc. continues to instill fear and cause chaos with his unorthodox playstyle on Widowmaker, taking strange angles and having the mechanics to back them up is impressive. Also, many years of experience under his belt make him a very dangerous unk. I want everybody to remember that phrase going against etc. in your games after he takes your dome a couple of times. Very dangerous unk.
Yeah, I know he's kind of known as a Widow player, but he does have the ability to play other DPS. Like, I remember on the Corsairs, he was playing a lot of Cass, a lot of Soldiers. So he's not just a Widow one-trick. He is willing to play, like, multiple heroes. And I think he, honestly, this late in the draft is a really good steal, I'd say.
I'd be inclined to agree. And the Captains of Aurora just blasted to the end of the draft. So we'll do the same. And then we'll just take a breath and look over the draft as a whole. So pick number 78 is going to be Zafton going to the Hummingbirds. At pick number 79 is going to be Coleslaw going to the Green Hill Guppies. And at pick number 80, Dish goes all the way to the Zimbabwe Zebras. So I think we're all lined up on the sheet. I think everybody's figured out. I need to change one team name real quick, and then we'll go ahead and look at all these team rosters and give our initial thoughts going into the season here. There we go.
I think we actually got like a really good like end to the draft. Sometimes you have like some like funny, issues with the avoid list, issues with like potentially players not really fitting on SR. But I'm looking at how like Coleslaw pairs into Tomb Crater's team, and I'm looking at how like Dish pairs into Neptune's team. I'm looking at how Zafton pairs into Skystar's team. I'm not seeing that many issues with all of these people. So even these picks that are coming in at the end, I think are going to get some huge value. And I don't know, we could be seeing any of these people as like the what's the award for it? Like the sixth person award, or like the
we used to have one where it's best.
Mr. Irrelevant award. Yeah. Do we have a Mr. Irrelevant or Mr. or Mrs. Irrelevant, perhaps?
I think that's what it is in the draft.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these people could provide that like Mr. Mrs. Irrelevant value that you want to see from these last picks.
Okay, I was wondering why it looks good on my side, but why is the team rosters page broken?
Oh.
For some reason, the team rosters page is broken. I don't know what the hell happened. I'm broken on the inside.
Oh.
Same with my
team.
Same with all.
Same.
It's over for BOON1E.
Yeah, it's over. So we can go through the teams one by one, give our thoughts on them. I have them on my other page over here. So for the Green Hill Guppies, they are going to have Pokemon Guy, Vind, McChicken, Charbatron, and Coleslaw.
And they have Rue too, right? I think.
Rue, I think so. That sounds right.
I think so.
Yeah, you only named 5, I think.
Wait.
Where
I think
is
they.
Oh, please let Rue play support.
Yeah, no, there's a
okay,
comp that
we
works
get
with them on
to-
support where it gets the Tomb Crater on DPS, the Charbatron on support, and you get Rue on support, and they still have SR to spare with that comp. So I think that's what they're going to be really focusing on. I think it's going to be all about like the fancy return to form on DPS, the Vind return to Aurora Esports on tank, the return of the Rue Lupinus support. Like we get TC back on his main role, the DPS role. I'm really excited for this team. It feels like the worst out back, and I'm really excited. I think that starting this draft, TC was a bit wary, like, oh, where my pick's going to go? Oh, I'm kind of concerned about my drafting order. I think he made some really good trades, and I think he's wound up with a great team going into Season 8 of Aurora.
Yeah, I was really worried about kind of that second to last pick because it's really easy to end up with someone who just doesn't quite fit in your team. I believe Coleslaw will 1-for-1 sub for Fancy.
Probably
DPS? Is that the
most of
maybe,
it's a 400 SR difference.
Well,
so
maybe
at that point,
that's the ones you put Fancy on tank on. You throw in Coleslaw, you fix the Junkrat, get the Sigma Junkrat going, or the Hog Junkrat. You know.
True.
Get cooking on that.
Does
one.
Vind have an off? Does Vind have an off roll that he can play with?
I believe he's signed up for all roles. If I remember
Okay, I mean that could work.
real quick.
That could. Oh wait, hang on. I got the cook. From the mouth of TC, we got Vind on tank, Coleslaw on DPS, Fancy on DPS, Rue Lupinus on support, and Tomb Crater on the other support.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Tomb Crater. Love you.
That makes a lot of sense. I do know Rulupin is a main support player, so I'm curious if TC is willing to like pick up the flex support mantle and learn flex support for this team.
Wait, Rue's a
Uh,
main support? I thought he was a flex
yeah,
support.
yeah, he's a main
Am
support.
I am I
He has
cooked?
played Juno, played a lot of Juno for a little bit, but I think primarily does play that main support.
Bro, you haven't seen the TC Ana. That's all I gotta say.
I know
Haven't
he's
seen it.
probably got something in the
You
back
don't know
pocket while
ball.
you're trying to
You don't
roll.
know ball.
Lack of ball
Alrighty.
knowledge.
Lack of ball knowledge is
I would love
crazy.
for TC to prove me wrong. I'll say that.
Oh, lack of me when they don't know. If you could, yeah, if there's a way you could like read off all the teams, I think that'd be helpful. Just to like go through them all.
I'm trying
I
to
know
figure
we
this
like,
out.
yeah. I can try to go through each team also. So let's look at the second overall pick, Cat's team next. I know this is gonna be the home of Panini, or no, that's not the home of Panini. Sorry.
Another
This is
cat.
gonna be somebody you helped draft, Panini. We got Akua, we got Lore, we got Milo, we got
Mommy issues.
Dante Fanfan and Mommy
Dante fan fan.
Issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a very good team too, in my
I think
opinion.
I was talking a
A
lot
lot of
with Paige
underrated
before this.
players.
I think a lot of times Paige kind of struggles to make those adjustments late in the draft. Those are kind of the hardest positions to draft.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
don't know exactly who's going to be available. It's a lot harder to plan for. But I do think all of the picks that Paige made, like the last 3 rounds, make a whole lot of sense. Like this team does have a very clear direction where they want to go with this. So I'm honestly really excited to see this team.
And then for the third overall pick for the Mankato Tomatoes, correct me if I'm mistaken, but it's going to be Topaz, Knave, Hollow Fungus, Spinal, Trevin, and Bucket. I think
Knave. I want to
Oh,
say Knave.
you get the spinal and bucket synergy. That's crazy. I know they've been like
Oh,
fiending
Spinal
to
Bucket.
play with each
Yeah.
other,
I think
and I think that
that's like the
yeah.
perfect. That's almost like a Sonic Ronic team build. You know,
Hmm.
it's just like all the either like a low master kind of diamond average. Everybody's kind of the same. No real standout carry player, but also
Yeah.
a lot of all around talent to kind of fill out that roster.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I'm a
Gotta do
big fan
that.
of Nave. Like I said earlier, like he's been improving a whole lot throughout the last couple of seasons, and kind of a really big shot caller. I think should be able to provide a ton of direction to this team, especially alongside of Topaz.
And then for our fourth overall, the Milky Way Martians, it's gonna be Bunny, Sky, Taken Wallet, Fish, Hyper 225, and Ruben Lagunas.
Welcome in BPL to
Yeah,
season 8
welcome
of
back
Aurora.
BPL.
I think that waiting on Fish was a risk. I thought the Fish might have gotten stolen, and I don't think we got a really good chance to talk about Fish. I would have the privilege of ringing on Fish's team multiple times last season.
Yeah.
Actually, like, kind of the GOAT on tank. And I think he has a really good team to back him up, a team that he has a lot of experience, not just like playing in Aurora with, but playing in other leagues with, probably just being friends with. And I think this is a team where Fish can like really shine, stand out, and get a lot of value for that, like because he was picked number 36. That was like mid of the draft, and you're getting like a super, super high SR tank, one of like the top 5 tanks.
Yeah, and then we also have like Taken Wallet and Sky. Like I kind of said earlier, I think Taken Wallet's a really good like value pick, and then Sky is one of those really good flex support player or flex players that I think should be able to fill a lot of holes with this team. So I think this team has a lot of good pieces, and they do have that synergy that I think they should be able to come together really well.
I'll check something real quick. Is it because of capitalization? Is it because of caps?
Not
Oh,
the
caps!
caps.
Caps are ruining me. Oh my god, it was literally just caps for some teams. That's
Oh wait,
unfortunate.
some teams. Oh, that's
Go
good. That's
for
good. That's
Cap.
good.
There's a lot of teams that are full right now. We went through the first four. You guys can talk about Rohan, Sus, and the Spartans while I go ahead and fix the pastries, the maples, as well as the dragons. Those are all just caps problems, I'm sure. So
Gotcha.
go ahead.
Well, we'll go on the Rohans next. That's going to be Nuttier's team, and this is kind of what I expected for Nuttier's teams. A few different people in different places, but I know he's somebody who did a ton of scouting on these players, did a lot of research ahead of time, and he's also picking up veterans in Oaks, Red Cactus, but has a lot of knowledge on Rebel, has a lot of knowledge on Asher, knows that these are going to be certified banger picks on his team, and one of the things that probably stands out to me most about this team is the flexibility. You have Asher, who can go really anywhere. You have Oaks, who signed up for DPS, but he could have like a couple tank maps in him. And you have Wrecked Cactus, who can do basically the exact same thing, backed up with, in my opinion, is two of like the most valuable low SR supports. I mean, Rebel's kind of like mid SR, but two players who can like really back you up. This is gonna be one of the best flat teams in Aurora, in my opinion.
Oh, we're just jumping around, right?
I, I mean, I thought we were going in order.
You're going in order.
Me
Uh,
personally.
Jack War, I think, is like a solid like that's the synergy. I don't know how many games you guys have played together, but I think that's going to be a huge synergy team. On top of that, you have Mardox, the guy that should be able to get the comms, get the team all organized, gathered up. I think War Mardox comms is going to be legendary. It's probably going to be one of the best comms teams in the league. But on top of that, you also have Killjoy, really good value tank, should be able to provide a whole lot of presence, a whole lot of space for some of these other players to kind of be able to move in and get some value here. Oh,
All right, we fixed the pastries, we fixed the dragons, we just got to do the maples, but it gives you guys some time.
Oh, let's go.
yeah.
We'll take it. Yeah, I'm really excited for this team. I think that this is one of the Jack Masterclass drafts that I think is gonna go really well. I thought I was like, dude, this war guy third round, like, what are you cooking, man? But it ended up panning out. It ended up panning out very, very well for this team. I'm super excited to play on the Sherps.
Yeah, a lot of those six getting taken off early. I think you might have been the first like lower SR player. Let me go double check that real quick. Um,
One of
yeah,
the
you were
early
the
ones.
first player under Diamond, I believe, that got drafted. Um, so yeah, it's like you were saying, kind of like a reach, I guess, to take you in the third round. But the fact that a lot of those players were going to get off the board soon, anyways, Jack kind of got his pick of whoever he wanted with that, and just decided to go with one of the players he's probably the most comfortable with in the entire league.
Yippee! There we go. Now everybody can finally see the full rosters and where you land if you're just trying to browse your way through the VOD. There you go, everybody. It only took us
PP.
It only took us an hour and a half, but we finally figured it out. I
All
love
right,
capitalization.
yeah. Next up, we got the Sussy Spartans, the SSP, and I did help this team draft, and I think that Tito and Voyager very, very happy with how the draft went. You got Voyager who can play that DPS. We're planning on getting Wind on the DPS. We might get Para some action on the DPS. You got Nolly and Big Brain to sort of one for one for each other for this team. I think this is a really good team. I think it's going to be, a few people like Kat Yada who don't have that much information on, Nolly who don't have that much information on, but I trust that they are going to turn out to be certified banger picks. And I'm really excited.
Well, considering you're the one who drafted Spike and Void Fiber last season, just off some whims as well, I think we can trust you on this one. I think we can
True.
we can probably believe you on
Or
your
maybe.
gut feeling.
Maybe. We hope
I'm a
so.
big fan of the Paramount pastries. Strudel Muffin Lumps, I think, are two players that I think of. We saw them on the Slimes. I don't know if that's the first time we've seen them play together. Oh, it just got switched around. Yeah, those are two players that like to play together. I think Rusty Goomba is another one of those players that I think will just bring some good vibes. Pretty chill. And then Fire Carter and Saga are able to kind of fill a lot of those roles. You do have that lower SR with Muffin Lumps. I'm assuming Muffin Lumps is permanently going to be on this starting lineup, just to kind of make up for that SR. Everyone else on the team, I feel like, is pretty solid. I don't know exactly how the calcs are going to work out just looking at it. I'm assuming someone is going to have to off-roll. But like, there are no bad players in this team. Like, I think this is a pretty solid team, top to bottom.
Yeah, I think Strudel wanted to get a team where he could like sort of play that DPS role, and I feel like this is definitely a
That makes
team
sense.
where
Yeah.
he can do that. His DPS is rated, at least on paper, I think it's like a 3.1, 3.2K. So you got a lot of flexibility when you put him on that role and you get Muffin as like your stable support player. I think that gives a ton of flexibility to this team. And then you have Firecarder who's just good on all roles. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really powerful.
Now on to my team. What did you guys think of my team? I do not know.
I mean,
The tough thing going into this draft is there are so many rookies. So we're going to have a lot of these teams where we just don't know half the players that are getting drafted. Aniki and Razor are two players I know very little about. I do know on paper Aniki is one of the highest SR players across all roles. So I think that's going to kind of be your carry player. But outside of that, I think that BOON1E, you played very well flexing around to multiple roles last season. I believe you got Shapeshifter, didn't you?
I did get Shapeshifter. I did.
You get Shapeshifter, so great flex player. We also have Sonic Ronic, who has also been flexing around with multiple roles, specifically DPS and support. I think is very capable on both of those roles. WK had a very high finish last season on the Isopods, so I think there are a lot of very good pieces here. I am not sure who is going to start on tank. I'm assuming you and Nort will actually be rotating on tank now that I'm looking at it.
What I have to be guessing is going to be happening.
Yeah, Sonic is gonna be on the DPS role, I think, with Anarchy, and then it's gonna be WK Riser. You could probably flex around a bit there, but I think the Egos were really looking for a comp where they could get Sonic on DPS, and I think they're gonna have it here. Just looking at it on paper, SR wise, well, you could have a flat team with Anarchy, the hyper carry, in a sense.
Do one of these. I forgot that we sadly didn't get to show Coleslaw. I forgot Coleslaw up in the top left of the Green Hill Guppies, but
Oh, we got him now. We got him now.
We got him now. And I mean, speaking of rookies, you just look at the Kyoto Koi Dragons, and this team is just complete unknown. You know, we know Senemi, we know Dyer, and Tommy Slat. Those are fine, but the I'd say almost three most important players on this roster, like Kernmaster being that kind of staple flanks player. I'm probably thinking a lot more support for Kernmaster. I believe they're known as kind of a main support specialist, especially on the Lucio.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Spicy might be coming in for tank with Dyer, because I think Dyer wants to not play as much tank this season as well, so it could be something that maybe Spicy flips into that role and Dyer goes on to support. It'll be really interesting to see how this team kind of finally fits together. There's a lot of interesting parts here. It's just who plays what role, because there's a lot of overlap here.
Yep, and honestly, I think that Kern and Spicy are like two rookies, but I feel like we know a bit about them already. Kern played in the Mystery Heroes tournament, and when he signed up, I was like, "Wait, guys, it's Kern. This is gonna be like another one of those like super high SR DPSs." Because in Mystery Heroes tournaments, he'd get the cash, he'd get the cast, the Ash, and he'd just like start clicking heads like he was like a Neptune or like he was like an Invictus, right? But then I realized he was like 3.4 on DPS. This guy, I think I can say with confidence, is better than 3.4 on DPS. Same thing with Spicy. I can say with confidence, the tank was looking insane. The DPS was also looking so good. He was playing dive like the way dive should be played in like silver, gold, and plat lobbies in the pugs, and I thought that was like actually crazy.
I'm sorry, who are we talking about? I got distracted.
We're talking about Kern and Spicy for the Kyoto Koi Dragons.
All right, so I think we talked about that team. Let's go move over to the St. Pauli's.
Corey builds another Unk team. No,
Corey builds
no.
Team, yep.
We can't keep letting him do this.
This is like his fifth win.
Except for Slade. I don't believe Slade's Unk status yet, but everybody else on this team is Omega Unk. I'm excited to see as many tank players as possible off-roll on this team, with Lambo Jambo and Nathan both being on DPS.
Oh no.
Tank aim will go crazy. I don't know, actually. I think if I look at it, I'm like, Corey might play support some maps, but will be actually playing DPS and tank others. So Yoda will also be off-rolling on a Genji probably or something like that on DPS.
Yeah, I can see it. Corey has.
So how many Unk tanks can we get to off-roll? I mean,
True.
listen, as a tank player myself, we can't aim to begin with. Add 10 years on top of it. It's gonna be rough out here for Unks. I hope they can.
Hey, but let's be so for real. If anybody saw the Flambeau Jambo Cassidy on Pugs, I would be shaking him. I'd be shaking him at boots. I think you got your DPS aimer right there.
I would also. I give that one a true.
A lot of these teams are people Corey has played with before. He played with Nathan on the Zealous Zenith that actually won Grand Finals Season 4, and played with Yoda on the Farmington Fishermen Season 5. I believe that was a playoff team, at least. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly how they finished, but I know Corey drafting a lot of players he is both familiar with and formerly played with. So pretty safe draft here by Corey. I'm really excited to see like kind of how this team turns out.
Speaking of excited to see how teams turn out, the magical Monosaurs. I am looking at this team and I am very excited to see this finally all come together. Yeah, we're gonna have Melon will not be in support; they'll be on tank. But with Melon, HV, Void Fibers, Silver Towels, and Big Brain and Mistletoe filling in that last support role, this team will be kind of crazy. They really do scream like Blahaj of last season to me,
Yeah, it's
and
a
not just
combination
because
of
of Void
Blahaj
Fiber,
and
but
it's a
Oh,
combination of
or just because
Blahaj
of Silver
and
Talls too.
Sea
Oh.
Dragon.
Void Fiber
I'm
so tells
curious,
them Melon. Yeah,
Mistletoe.
hmm
This team has a lot of SR to work with. I'm assuming Mistletoe actually is going to be in pretty much every map to make these SRs work.
Yep, and Big Brain is about equal to Big Brain's about equal to HV on DPS, so I think that's the look they're trying to go for.
I could see that, yeah. But
moving
yeah,
on to
like you
oh
said,
good.
a lot of good players. Now, I was just gonna say that the Sea Dragons combo of Melon Silvertall is the Blahaj combo of Silvertall's Void Fiber. So a lot of
Sure that
synergy
they
there.
won't get second this time.
Surely.
Surely.
Okay, now I'm moving on over onto the mulch maxers, and we were talking about Unk team, but look at this Unk DPS line with
Team,
with Yeetmeister and etc. Holy moly,
Unk
Bingo
Team
Night is in effect.
2.0, yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I, I will
Riddle.
say though, we've been waiting for Greg for a long time, and I'm
True.
finally excited to see Greg in the league. They've been talking a
The
lot in
chosen
general
one.
before, but yeah, now they're finally here. We can finally see what they're worth, what they're made of. Greg, I know you're out there and
I'm
you're
really,
listening.
I'm really curious who plays tank on this team. Is it just gonna be Riddle Dog? Yeetmeister only signed up on DPS. Luca, I believe, is flex. I
Oh.
believe Riddle Dog is flex. I think that's it. I think no one else did sign up to play tank. So we were talking about off rolls on Corey's team, but this team could very potentially have a tank off roll going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and you do have like ETC and Yeet who are both, I think, more DPS limited. I believe Yeet's definitely. That's gonna be Space Maker is gonna be limited to
Yeah.
that DPS pool. So I think you're right about the Luca Riddle Dog on tank. And I want to say all the way back to the Shanghai Solaris days, Riddle Dog tank was looking really good in my opinion. Luca obviously a rookie, but I mean, you have two options for take. And I think a lot of teams, that's really, really valuable because at the start of the season, you don't know what's going to work out for you. So at least you have an option to go with for one match, and then an option to go with for another match. You can compare those two matches, see how they both go, and figure it out by the playoffs. You'll be golden, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, and now we go on to the Hummingbirds being our next team. I know that Skycer came in with literally one goal, and that was to get Paradox, and he did that. And he also stabilized the team with a great Tedium pick as well as Weeb. Weeb, of course, had a good showing in the Rookie Showcase, should be the kind of the carry DPS role. So I assume we're probably going to see a lot of Skycer, Tank, Weeb,
Yep.
Paradox DPS, and probably like Tedium and Warbler Hawk / Zafta in that other support lineup. I know that Tedium is that hard flex carry, can play, the Kiriko well, the Ana, land some big nades, as well as the carry DPS on the Sojourn. So I'll be excited to see how this team kind of formates together. I think Skycer always cooks, especially the Quails. We had questions about that team, but I think that they, once again, they've just come together nicely.
Yeah, the pleasure of playing with Skycer last season and on the Blahas, and I think that was working out insanely well. I think this team has like the makeup of like a really good like dive team in my opinion. Where you got Weeb, you got Teddy M who plays a lot of those like Kiri players, but he also can play with the Genji and the Tracer. You got Paradox on the DPS. And then you got Zafton who can maybe take some games on tank, but showing up as the support right now. I think you have a lot of players who are going to go for those dive looks, and I felt like the Quails were also more of that dive team. So taking somebody knowledgeable like Skycer and leading the team, I think this is going to be a very powerful team.
And now on to the Maples. Panini's roster, of course. This DPS line of Panini Willfish about to go crazy, for real.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be the only
Yeah.
DPS line we run, right?
Yeah, you guys will never play anything else. I think the biggest kind of question mark for this team is going to be how well Dr. Jargo plays. I know that they get experience in other rosters as well, so they should be fine. Should be able to slot in. I guess that's the second biggest question because the biggest one is where's Florin play? What does she do? Does she play support? Does she play, the DPS, more tank? Who really knows what she's going to go on to? But
yeah, I was already got some messages from Paige about the comps. This is actually a pretty flexible team. It might not seem
from
like it
Paige,
at first, but
Wait, what?
Wait, hold up.
What? Paige is
Sorry.
making comps, and also this is
Chloe.
a flexible team. Hello?
Paige said I'm
Hello?
done with my team. I'm going on to yours.
What?
Sorry, Chloe. I got some DM from Chloe about some of the comps we can run. There's I think 5 comps that I think all look pretty solid. They're all right around that SR cap. So a lot of different looks I think that we could expect out of the Merry Maples. So I'm really curious what we're gonna end up cooking in scrims here. Surely we scrim, right?
All right, and finally, our last team, the Zimbabwe Zebras. Neptune coming back for a second round of captaining, picks up a few rookies here, but of course gets his fire for the finally gets him wanted last season. Panini unfortunately stole them, even though Fire was drafting for himself and didn't put himself on Neptune's team, as well as Yak on the flex. So thoughts on the Zebras? I think it's a very strong roster. I don't think that last season should be how we look at Captain Neptune. I think Neptune did a good job as the captain itself, looking for scrims, getting the bots together. Just didn't come together on the field. But I think this one, much stronger looking team, especially these rookies pan out, and Transflex being the hyperflex that they are.
I think the good thing about like Neptune, I think he got really, really lucky with this last round pick. I don't know if we had a chance to really talk about this Dish character. Obviously, signed up for the support role and can flex support. I think that is perfect for Neptune's team, and also just happens to slot in perfectly with the the 1-for-1 with Transflect if you want. But you can also off-roll Transflect onto the DPS, or heck, even onto the tank if you want to give Fire some support maps. For example, I seeing this team and I'm seeing, hey, this is gonna be really, really flexible. And I don't think they're gonna scrim much because I think their availability is kind of like out the window this season. But I think they're gonna be good every single map they play in because you have people who have a lot of experience with competitive Overwatch. Neptune, the contenders player, Fire plays on a ton of teams, so does Yak. That's all you need in my opinion.
And now, once again, that we finally calmed down, we finally slowed down, we can go round by round and see how this thing really finally played out. See, and so people can finally see where they got picked. If we were behind or things happened, if my stupid HVAC call ruined your pick, I apologize. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the first round here. And I think we already kind of went through this. You can finally see the bound 2 picks, guys. LOL XD. With Yak and Firecard down there at 8 and 16. We already kind of went through this one in our first break. So there you go, guys. A quick refresher on round 1. But now going over on to round 2 with the Rupa round for the Zimbabwe Zebras at 17. I was actually shocked to see that McChicken, even though they're off-rolling, fell down to 18 here for DPS, because McChicken still has tank kind of on the sign, can play for map or two, but McChicken's DPS is still pretty solid in terms of everything. Void Fiber going down to 20 is a criminal at 21. After we saw how well they played last season on that venture specifically. Anybody else really stand out here? Ox at 28, big value pickup. Killjoy at 27. I think there's a lot of good picks here. Yep. I'm excited for Aurora to come back, though. We saw him on the Lost Neck Nessies do really well in the Sojourn. Took a couple of seasons off, and now they're back. And flung away to 32. I think it's a great value pickup for Paige / Paninii there. Good job, man. Pat yourself on the back for that one. Going over on to round 3. Oh, look, there's War coming off the board at 33.
Oh my god, I was the first pick in round 3.
Three.
Holy! Oh my god. Wait, I'm just shocked right now, Jack. This is a cook.
And you also just see a lot of the Maple picks here, 37, 39, and 44. Chloe capitalizing on the round 3. I think that when you look at Chloe's draft strategy, I think she was going more for like that. She's always had, her and another really high SR player and not that much help around them because just SR cap reasons. But now you see when you go down to that third round, you're kind of stuck in that diamond/low masters range. So you can kind of build an all-around solid roster around yourself, which I think she did here, especially with someone like Whalefish coming off last season with the quaddies, having a really good showing on the Hanzo guy, the Tracer, the Reaper flexibility. Sadly for Jess, we didn't get to see their Sky report, but we did put in that don't let them Junkrat 1v1 Coleslaw. Any other time.
Oh no! Don't mention that! Don't mention that! Oh,
any other thing, they're looking pretty good. And you see,
yeah,
I want to point out so many diamond icons on the screen right now. Goes kind of crazy in round 3.
Yeah, we got a few gold players in there too.
Hey, shout out to me and War holding down the golds.
2 of the 3.
And Jess, shout out too. Yeah.
Shout out. All right, round 4. This is where I believe Panini. You said round 4 was the most important this draft, right? Round 3s and round 4 is kind of where teams are gonna be maked and braked. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah,
agreed too.
You're gonna have players that end up falling, so it's gonna be kind of like who is able to capitalize on some of these players that fall. A couple ones that did stand out to me is I do think Yoda like I was saying earlier, that tank pool does kind of drop off really hard. So Yoda falling to the 4th round is crazy to me. Played really well on the Baja Blasters last season. Was kind of doing a lot of heavy lifting in some of those fights. Another one is Shattered Axe, 64th, really high SR player that I think should fit really well around the core of this Sherbs team here.
I gotta give some love to first of all, Skyster did trade down, but able to get like 2 really good back-to-back picks that complete his main core of his roster. I think that's very, very valuable. You get Paradox, you get Warbler Hawk. Warbler Hawk and Paradox both are going to be role locked, but I think that's completely fine because it fits in really well with the team that has been built around. This team won't have a lot of flexibility, but this team will be very, very good at some of the things they do. I gotta give some love to my goat Panini as well
I
too,
agree.
sneaking
Number
in there.
60,
Number
showing up.
60, DPS only. I have full faith in this goat
Hey,
to pop off.
do we need to bring up that the Stir Schnubble tier only won 1 match, and it was when Panini was playing DPS. He carried that team to a victory. Might we say,
True.
potentially was considered potentially one of the worst teams in Overwatch class history. This man came in, put us on his damn back, and brought us over the line with that Tor play.
Yeah, I think I kind of diffed Neptune that game, I will say.
Neptune's on our team.
I kind of carried him. I put Neptune on my back, and I walked across the finish line with him.
Diffed him so hard he went to our roster. He got pissed off.
I dragged Neptune kicking and screaming to a win.
And finally
As we
here
expected.
at round 5 to finish things all off. Definitely Southwest falling low to 70. A Jack again with a banger roster move there to get the value. You know, you get Shattered Axe at 64 and then Southwest at 70. Honestly, crazy picks there for Jack.
You just gotta understand, you gotta no ball. There will always be a high SR flag support that falls. Always, always. It always happens. Never fails.
And there's a high
Yeah.
SR main support that falls in Saga. Look at that. 72.
Yep.
There's 2 picks below. I love the Biggie Stretch sandwich between Southwest and Saga. You know, the master supports and there's a Biggie Stretch hanging out there.
Yeah, I gotta give some love to Biggie Stretch too. The former Baja, I think he's found a good home with the Sussy Spartans as well. You're gonna be able to get that playtime switch outs with Nolly, and you get a bit of flexibility as well too for that team. So I do really like what that team cooked up. And I don't know, a lot of these like last round picks I think are really nice like picks to like pair with other people. You get like Big Brain, you get like ATC. I think those are 2 great people to pair with like the DPS that were already on those 2 respective teams. I think Ruben going this late is kind of criminal, but like I'm so excited for him on the Martys.
The Martys.
Yeah. Martys? Wait, Martians?
Martys,
Oh, sorry.
Marty's got Marty's jump scare. Guys, don't
Marty's jump scare. Wait, what?
No,
better-
way more east.
hope to
No,
God you're
sorry,
not,
I thought there was a team called the Martys.
Pray
I
to
swear,
God,
I
not
swear, I
the
swear. Oh no, what happened to the Martys?
They're considered the worst team ever in both Aurora and Overwatch League. Ask
No
Rusty
way.
Goomba.
No way.
A last thing I'll point out here in the last round is Spicy going all the way to 74. Y'all will be regretting letting that one fall. Mark my words. All right. So now we've gone through all the rounds. We've gone through the rosters. Now it's time for us here on the desk. Get the OG crew kind of back together, minus Real Dog, of course. We're going to make some bold predictions. We're not going to quite write that down just yet, but we are going to make some bold predictions come from the season. And we'll go ahead and start with, we'll go ahead with the promotion boy and the former champion. We'll go Panini here over on my left, your guys' right. What is your hot take going into the season, or do you want the team rosters page up? Do you want a round roster? Just let me know what you need to form as hot take, and I'll let you cook.
I'm looking at the draft right now, top to bottom. I am gonna pick my MVP right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna take a huge swing here.
Take that huge swing,
Luka.
goat.
I'm gonna say Luka off rolling is gonna be my MVP.
Luka off rolling.
That's a huge swing. That's a huge swing. Oh, oh.
That's
Hey,
not
I gotta make a huge swing start off the season. I'm calling Luka carrying this team, playing at 3,100 on DPS. I'm sure this guy's gonna make some noise.
Okay.
I gotta make a bold take here.
How the hell are we gonna follow that up, War?
I don't know if I can top. Dude, I don't know if I can top that. I was also gonna try to go a completely different direction with mine too. I was gonna go for like my top 5 like people who I think did a really good job, like really cooked on the draft, right? And I'm thinking of my number 5 right now.
I'm
So
thinking of a number between
give
1
me
and
a
5.
moment. No, I think of a number between 1 and 5. True. Do I have that team? Okay, I got my top 5 teams in my humble opinion after the draft. Usually this is very wrong, so I'm very excited for people to prove me wrong. But in no particular order other than the order that people would the order that people drafted. I have the Milky Way Martians. I have the Roham Rahim. I have the Suspicious Sherbs. I have the what's his team name? The Manitoba Magical Mosasaurus? Mosasaurus. And I have the Zimbabwe Zebras as my top 5 at this moment. I don't know if that's hot take or not. We will see.
Now I gotta come up with something.
Yup.
Okay, you know what? Might be the hottest take ever put down in Aurora. Paige is gonna have a winning season as a captain and a player.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, that's the hottest take ever on Aurora, potentially.
You just think like above 500 win percentage is what you're saying.
Yep,
So 5 and 4.
she's going to have a winning record.
Surely.
That team is too good to fail. We've said it before, but it can't. This time is different. This time is different, really, guys. I swear to God.
Praying Akua does not have availability issues, I think, is the big issue with that team. But I mean, regardless, like if you find a ringer, like he is still very high SR. So
on every role, right? You can just pick and choose what role you want.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of flexibility if Akua does end up having availability issues with all the teams that he is on. But regardless, I think, like you said, a lot of good pieces on that team. We'll just see how they gel together here.
All right. I think, despite the chaos and everything, gentlemen, it was a good draft. It's been a good time spending these last 2 hours with you. Hopefully, everybody else enjoyed it at home. You know, unfortunately, we apologize for the speed of the draft. We couldn't keep up on the prod side. That's totally my fault. Don't blame anybody else but me. Hopefully, you guys still enjoyed the new graphics and everything. We put some work into it. I thank you guys for joining me here on the desk, as well as being drafters for teams, you know, for Paninii, as well as drafting on the side, as well as giving their analysis.
Yeah.
And holding it down.
I didn't expect the picks to go that fast.
I did not either. Made it difficult for a bit of analysis. But we had a good breathing moment here at the end here, a good 45-minute discussion on who we all think is all good. We eventually got to see everybody's pick numbers, so we didn't see everybody's scout reports. Unfortunately for you guys. Bye-bye. You guys don't get that one. Bye-bye. See you.
See y'all.
With that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in to the draft. I know we peaked over 100 viewers, so it's a huge milestone for us. And so yeah, for Paninii, for all the captains back in the war room, I've been BOON1E. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, have a great evening, and good luck this season.